Now let's bring in the newspapers first. Where are we going? We're going to start with the Examiner this morning. Great picture of Brian Cody, relaxed and ready. Leading writers Enda McAvoy and Tommy Martin dissect Kilkenny's Churchill. Churchill was a genocidal maniac, so I'm not sure that it's the right comparison with Brian Cody, but maybe if you're from Tipperary, you feel that way about him. Goff confirmed GA appoint Meath man for Dublin Kerry decider, very pointedly mentioning that he's a Meath man and a member of the Slane Club. Played against Sam, Bennett completes hat-trick of stage wins in the Low Countries. This is amazing.
Yeah.
3 stage wins in a row, and all by not very much. Yesterday's was ridiculous. It was like the width of a tyre, less than the width of a tyre. So I don't know enough about the race to know if he's going to win the race. But it'll be, he must be thinking about winning the whole thing now.
Well, I always say that he is the most exciting cyclist we have in Ireland. Like, obviously Dan Martin and Nico Roach probably have a higher profile, but just by dint of the fact that he's a sprinter, you get, as you say, these incredible finishes on these stages. Like in the Giro over the past couple of years, he's been amazing. It's only a matter of time, surely, before he gets given the opportunity to kill it at the Tour de France. So he's one to watch, and he's been brilliant in recent times. And three in a row, isn't it?
Yeah. The first 3 stages, so he's got like a maybe 20-second lead at the moment. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't know enough about this. So one break obviously ruins the whole thing. But now the team must be thinking, let's try and win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ed Collin talking about how to deal with sporting snails, and star quality world champion Maniunga charms crowds at Cork City Sports. The Ed Collin piece is obviously about the golf controversy, where there was a lot of annoyance. All this talk about Bryson DeChambeau on the PGA Tour and his painfully slow play raises a lot of questions for everybody watching. This exploded when he walked over to somebody's caddy and said, if you want to...
Brooks Koepka.
To Koepka's caddy?
Yeah.
Oh, the Irish guy. And said, Brooks wants to say something, say to my face.
Yeah, and then you had Eddie Pepperell getting involved in the situation as well, via Twitter, I think. So you also had this thing where DeChambeau fittingly took about 5 minutes to actually explain himself in the post-match. The Golf Channel, to fit into like your 2.5 minutes allowed on Twitter, the
Honestly.
Golf Channel had to cut it all down so that we could watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's on the back of this as well. I'll get to it as well. But the Daily Telegraph is Istanbul shootout.
This one here, or this one?
Yeah, Istanbul shootout. Obviously the game last night, which was really good game, really enjoyable. But on the back again, it's DeChambeau, the latest to dig a hole for himself after bungled apology for his slow play. Yeah, he's taken 3 minutes, Jar, over an 8-foot putt for a pro, and he's looking. And I saw playing in the Pro-Am with Tom Lewis. He had one of these books, and I said, "What's that?" And it was the green. It was on the full page was the green, with all these absolute tiny like V's going in different ways for what way the slopes were going, like as in you'd need glasses and a magnifying, and really, but what they'd do is they'd pace it out from the front of the green into the side of the green to where the ball is, and they'd mark it, and they'd just look at the line to the hole that they had that day, and they'd say, oh, it might be a bit left to right, and then they obviously look at it. But he said to me that you can get it in high definition again, where it's 4 pages on 4 different parts of the green, and it's more info again. And I would say that DeChambeau probably has that when he's looking at it. He looks at what quarter of the green the ball is in, and then starts doing whatever he's doing. But it's a joke. It really is like it's.
So they have rules around times. They just don't enforce them.
And just get strict with them, and that ends it. And they don't get. He's out here trying to say, oh, I'm trying to make this enjoyable for the sports fan by putting on great golf. It's not enjoyable when we're sitting at home. We can go make a cup of tea and come back by the time you still haven't taken your putt. It's not enjoyable.
No,
we want to see other people play as well. We want to see you walking around the green.
He's trying to make money, which is his job, right?
Of course, of course. And he's trying to be successful. I get it.
Yeah,
but
this is the definition of the dark art.
There's rules in it. It'd be like us Kerry kicking around the ball 5 minutes after the whistle is blown against their own. Like the game gets blown up, and that's what the people need to do in golf is just get strict with these guys, because it's killing it. Because what you have is you have local fellas in the golf club. Then the Thursday morning they want to leave the flag in, leave the flag out, walk around the green 4 times, and they're taking their putt. Man.
The Irish Times has some great hurling stuff on their first page of Sports Thursday. The ties that bind Kilkenny's generation game. So you've got Colin Fennelly in the main picture there, and then underneath it you've got Liam Fennelly, Michael Fennelly, Kevin Fennelly, and Ger Fennelly. The Fennellys, of course, cousins of Adrian Mullen, and like Sean Moran's piece goes through the remaining family ties in this, and like the other thing that's kind of been well documented is Conor Brown and the fact that his mother is Angela Downey. So there's links everywhere and threads everywhere in this Kilkenny team. Ian O'Riordan then writing about Seamus Kennedy thrilled to be back centre stage again, and he's somebody obviously who's formerly with football, and he speaks about that. He says, "Do I love football? Absolutely yes. Do I miss playing? Absolutely yes. But when the decision came and Mick Ryan, then Tipperary manager, rang me, it was a no-brainer for me, to be honest. I was absolutely delighted for the lads themselves in 2016 and the run they got to the All-Ireland football semi-final. Some of my best friends were playing in that. Lads I lived with in college and I've grown up with were playing, so I was delighted." But it's interesting that once hurling comes calling for you in hurling, as Seamus Kennedy says, it's a no-brainer.
Colin Fennelly's a massive outsider for Hurler of the Year. Is he not even in the conversation? Like, wins the Club All-Ireland, scores great goals there, scores great goals the whole way through at key moments. Not even in the conversation.
1-3 from play, all from play, isn't it, in the semi-final as well?
Yeah, like, but we talked about it outside. Like, if he has a man of the match All-Ireland final, he has to be in contention. It's, you know, it's picked on the last 2 or 3 games. That's it really. You know, what it should be and what these All-Stars should be is, you know, every league game, every championship game, the managers are picking their best 3 or whatever, and
I'm not sure. I think that you deserved an All-Ireland when you changed the semi-final. I think that
an All-Star.
An All-Star, sorry, yeah, and like play well in the final. I think that they're the biggest games of the year, where everything comes down to it, and like it's grand to do well in league games. That's important, right? But I don't think it should have any bearing on All-Stars, because ultimately, some teams are taking the league seriously.
More in probably the championship. But just to kind of give it a more, you know, it's tough when a fella that plays really well all the way through and then doesn't have a good final and misses out in the Player of the Year when he really was the best player all that year. He just didn't have a good final.
But what you might
I think the final is a huge bearing on what way it goes. And I know it's the biggest game, but you can have a game, like, you know, you can have a good game without, like James was a good example of it, and you know, he didn't score in the 14 final, but he was the best player to get us there, do you know what I mean? So he didn't score, but he was out and he was industrious. But I remember afterwards going, James didn't score at all, like, you know, that might catch him. And I was like, oh, I can't catch him. But the more people, you know, said it to me, I was like, you know, you'd be getting kind of worried, but
I prefer, like what you're saying, the weighting on the end of the season. Like what you might then have is a situation where, like you have the NBA MVP a few years ago, where Russell Westbrook is getting all his teammates around him to pad his stats to make sure he gets the triple-double for the entire season, and therefore he's named NBA MVP.
I think if you went to your GA team and said, lads, I want to pat my stats to get MVP,
you wouldn't get that. But like, I mean, what bearing does Russell Westbrook then have on in the playoffs in the NBA that season? I think they get knocked out in the first round by the Rockets. And
yeah,
it's little to none is the answer.
But you're talking about patting his stats. He averaged a triple-double. Like, it's pretty.
It's unbelievable.
You can't pat the stats.
Don't get me wrong, but their entire season.
You can pat it to get 6 assists or something. But
it was generated around.
Yeah, I know. No. I know what you're saying. Look, they're both valid. Actually, both valid points, really. But I like the way the Australians do the All Australians. It's kind of, but that's a more, as Ger said, you're right with the league and the championships, a bit all over the place. But you know, maybe if they bring in this kind of league format or two different tiers, and there's a bigger group with more games.
Yeah,
maybe they could kind of tier it that way.
Everybody plays the same number of games.
Yeah, you can.
It's hard to weight what happens in the provincial championships as well, because
different ones, because one crowd play 2 games, other crowd play 4 games.
Somebody racks up 116 against Minnow, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that guy's having a great year. Not really.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right, so the Irish Independent, GAA warns against ticket scam for All-Ireland finals. Apparently there's a bogus company with an English address saying that you can buy a lot of corporate tickets for cash money, and the GAA are saying that's not true. Super Reds, another night of penalty delight in Istanbul for Liverpool. So Liverpool winning in Istanbul again. Obviously Istanbul is where the Champions League final will be next year, so they hope that this is a harbinger of good things to come. Schmidt may take 2 number 9s to Japan, as Cooney left out. So Ireland made their way to Portugal yesterday with 3 more players cut. Mike Haley, John Cooney and Finlay Bealham are gone from the World Cup squad, so that was interesting.
I didn't expect Cooney to go.
First week in September now, he's saying, in between the 2 Wales games is when he's going to finally fully announce his squad to the last minute, which seems like good prudent management as opposed to Eddie Jones going, yeah, these are my guys. And then 4 of them get injured next week and another 4 the week after, and he's got to go back crawling to the lads he's cut going. Yeah. So about that fight you had, I mean, I don't think it was that serious really. Was it? I mean, you're okay, Ben, aren't you?
Yeah, you'll be fine. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. So
2 scrum halves, like, I mean, that's an interesting one. I mean,
well, we'll see.
We'll see. But if that is the final case, like, I mean,
it all comes down to whether or not Joey Carvey's going to be fit and when he's going to be fit and how quickly he's progressing. So if he's progressing well enough, they don't need an extra out half. It seems like it's a lot of. So Sexton's going to play the whole game, is he? Even when, so Carvey's not going to be fit for the first game, but he's probably going to be fit for the second game. But that means for the whole 87 or 90 minutes that you're on the field to play, Sexton has to play.
You'd probably expect, Sexton to play that first full game, and in the second game against Japan, isn't it? That Sexton would play.
Scotland, isn't it?
I thought the first game was...
Sorry, no, second game is Japan, sorry.
Yeah, first game is Scotland, second game is Japan. So Sexton to play, 60 minutes against Japan, let Joey in and enjoy to start, the other 2 maybe. And then get Johnny in for maybe split them in the last game, that they're both ready for that, hopefully, that knockout game.
We've got Rodden McGar coming in a minute, so we'll ask him about that. The Times London edition, Liverpool triumph on penalties. It's Sadio Mane and QPR under-18s walk off pitch and racism round. Queen's Park Rangers have called for action after revealing the club's under-18 side walked off the pitch during a friendly match in Spain last weweek following racial abuse by opposition players. So fair play to QPR for doing that.
The Sun is European Super Cup again, all about Klopp's men last night. Another one, interesting enough, Sanchez digging heels in. Alexis Sanchez to refuse to go quietly and leave Manchester United this summer. He stalled over his Roma loan, so he's making things very awkward for Man United.
You've also got Babs there saying that...
if he hopes it rains, Brian Cody will be hoping for rain. If it's dry on Sunday, tip will be too good.
I read that, Colin. It's such an unfair opinion of Kilkenny that they need it to be a dirty day. They need rucks left, right and centre for them to win the game. Of course, that might benefit them. They might be better in that element. It doesn't mean that they don't have some of the most skillful hurlers in the country on their side. And
they have the most skillful hurler.
Well, that's it, exactly. That's saying that if it rains, that's exactly what they need to win. If it's the most beautiful day of the year,
Babs,
Kilkenny have every chance of winning this weekend. I just don't like that opinion of Kilkenny. Back page of the Irish Daily Mail is point to prove. People wrote us off, says Kilkenny star. That's Walter Walsh quoted. There's Adrian, super saver. Liverpool 2, Chelsea 2. Obviously Liverpool winning 5-4 on penalties. And GA confirmed Goff will ref as Kerry Cryfoul.
And the Guardian printed too early for us to know what the full-time score was in the Liverpool-Chelsea game. It's kind of unfortunate. It's 1-1 is the score that they have. So, yeah.
Would they not have just left it off now?
They're still playing in Istanbul, apparently, according to the Guardian this morning. Newspaper's definitely going to
yeah, the Stars, again, superhero about Adrian. That lovely position that goalies find themselves in the shootout with zero pressure. It must be great for goalies.
Do you think so?
I think it's great for them. Picture the opposite is walking down as the taker, and he's just standing there going, nobody expects me to save this. What way am I going to go?
Yeah.
Start playing mind games. I like the way Kepka stood for the middle of the second one last night. I just thought it takes that kind of option of going down the middle, away. I'd say Abraham might have been a bit on that last one.
Which did happen.
Yeah,
eventually.
That was saved down the middle, so...
The Racing Post goes with unethical, unlawful, bloodstock bombshell. Leaked BHA report calls for action to halt activities of a small number of unscrupulous individuals who pose a real risk to the integrity and reputation of the entire industry. So it's an interesting report this morning in the Racing Post. The back page of it goes with the cricket. England 3-1 to light up Lords after washout.
Quite a big price in the 2-horse race, isn't it? Superman reserve keeper Adrian is Cop's shootout hero in Istanbul thriller. And Walter, I was embarrassed by final call. So Walter Walsh obviously had been out for media this week in Langton's. Lindelof lands $46 million deal to partner Harry. Manchester United are ready to hand defender Victor Lindelof a double your money contract extension worth a huge £46.8 million sterling. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's not a bad few, Bob. Start off the morning.
They definitely haven't just looked at what happened last Sunday and thought, yep, that's it, that's sorted. 100% this can never go south.
Sign that deal.
Yeah.
Victor's agent to sign that deal.